Culture Club, brought to you by Hanom.
Yahweh. My name is Leni Leon, otherwise known as Leni Leon. I'm a Micronesian artist who experiment in various forms of art, either contemporary or traditional. I've got a degree in filmmaking, and I used to be a graphic designer. I do some photography for fun as a hobby, but more recently, I've been carving shells. I started shell carving in October of 2019, and the first piece I did was for my son, and it was in the shape of a turtle, and it was made out of a giant clam, or as the Chamorros refer to it, heme. Right? I just found a little piece of broken shell on the beach, saw what it was going to be, I guess, and just came home and turned it into what I thought it would be. And I was pleased with it. It wasn't perfect. It was very far from perfect. But it meant something to me. It's for my son, so to me, it kind of told his story. After that, I got hungry for it. I wanted inspiration. So I went onto social media and asked people, like random people, just post on social media and asking people to submit something that inspires them in their life. And I will try to interpret it into, through a carving. And so I did a couple of that. The first piece I did was a kingfisher out of a purple spondylus, out of that inspiration piece, which later on led to me creating the business Inspired Micronesia, which is about carving. And it's all about telling a story. Excited, at the same time nervous would be the right description of how I feel when I carve. Let's kind of describe it or compare it to how writers do their thing. Unlike writing, you can, undo, delete, backspace, or whatever. You can move stuff and then redo, right? With carving, it's nerve-wracking because you have one platform to tell that story, and it's that one little piece of shell that is in front of you. And if you mess up, then you can try to recreate it using another shell, but it's not going to be that inspiration of that moment, right? And it's just like in writing. You start off thinking you know where you're going, and things just shift, right? The storyline shifts, the characters shift, and where you end up is not where you thought you were going to be, but it's where you're happy that it ended up being. It's interesting, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, it's a new form of art. Honestly, it's just using new technology to apply traditional skills, traditional knowledge. Throughout the Pacific, shell carving has been one of the most valued traditional practices over the years, centuries. And a lot of people have thought that it's been lost. Maybe the form of creating and the tools they were using to create those have been lost, or not necessarily lost, but replaced with newer forms, which is modern technology, using rotary tools instead of stones or sand, whatever it is they used. Whether the young people are doing it or not, it's actually very inspiring because a lot of people don't realize it, but there are actually a lot of young artists in Saipan, up and coming. You can find their work in some shops, online and social media, especially because they're younger. They're more in social media than they are in the shop, right? Selling their pieces. So Saipan is actually pretty rich on cultural practitioners as far as shell carving, and to me, it's actually quite inspiring, and it's a good thing because with them continuing the arts, there's a good chance that somebody else is going to carry it on after they do. We could definitely use or have more. There's room for more cultural practitioners, whether it's carving, weaving, even something as simple as martially speaking, language practices, navigation, sailing, all these stuff. They're there. There are practitioners, young and old, young who are learning from the older generations, who just aren't exposed enough. And maybe this is a problem with the local governments. I don't know. I'll call them out. Maybe it is a problem with the local government. Maybe it's a problem with media who will focus on other things and not focus on the cultures. And I guess, and that is one of the great things about this culture club, right? I've been following Culture Club for a long time, as they've been presenting people in Guam, like Jill Beneventi, one of my favorite carvers, somebody who I look up to. Never worked with her, but I've seen her work, and I'm a big fan of her work. It's medias like you guys who provide those spaces to expose the local cultures. Yagoy, I am Leni Leon. My name is Leni Leon, and I'm a member of the Culture Club. Thank you.
Culture Club, brought to you by Hanom.